Hello and welcome to Follow the Money. I'm Raine Musñgi. Join us as we explore the tools and insights you need to jumpstart your financial journey. The Nasdaq closed at a record high on Monday as investors gauge the latest economic data. The S&P 500 also rose while traders look to the Federal Reserve's final policy announcement of the year later in the week to gauge the path of interest rates. Markets have almost completely priced in a rate cut at the conclusion of the Fed's two-day policy meeting on Wednesday, with a 95.4% chance for a cut of 25 basis points.
Yeah, stocks today are really being driven by more follow-through on artificial intelligence, particularly after the commitment of another $100 billion in investment in technology this morning by a Japanese investor. I think what we're seeing is the market is still following through with artificial intelligence plays and looking to drive that. Additionally, higher interest rates are causing some concern. There may not be as much follow through for some of the more income-oriented and value-oriented sectors in the market. And so I think that's why we're seeing a little bit of rotation here to start the week ahead of Wednesday's Fed meeting.
More on that Japanese investor in a moment, but first, still on the market, Bitcoin's record rally topped $107,000 on Monday. This after President-elect Donald Trump reiterated his plans to create a U.S. Bitcoin strategic reserve similar to its strategic oil reserve. Daniel Ives of Wedbush Securities brands this as a new golden age for Bitcoin.
This is a new golden age for Bitcoin. And I think when you look at what's happening in the Beltway under Trump, you're going to have a deregulatory environment, which is a huge positive. And also, this is part of a risk-on environment that we're seeing not just for tech stocks, but for Bitcoin still in the early days of playing out. I think in a bull case, Bitcoin could be up significantly. I mean, as you start to go toward 150K, 200K, toward the end of the year into 2026, it's going to be volatile. But the big question is more companies start to use Bitcoin as part of their reserves. I think that is a huge variable, and the regulatory environment is going to be a big focus.
Well, governments across the globe hold 2.2% of Bitcoin's total supply as of July. That's according to data provider CoinGecko. The U.S. possesses nearly 200,000 Bitcoins, valued at more than $20 billion at current levels. U.S. President-elect Trump defended his plans to impose tariffs on many foreign imports at a news conference conducted Monday at his Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach, Florida. Trump has pledged to boost American industry by imposing a 10% universal import tariff and 60% tariff on Chinese imports. He has also threatened 25% duties on goods from Mexico and Canada, as well as an additional 10% tariff on Chinese goods as a way to push them to clamp down on the flow of the deadly opioid fentanyl and illegal immigration to the U.S. The three countries are America's top trading partners.
Tariffs will make our country rich.
But won't they raise prices?
Properly used. They tax us, forgetting just for a second about the word tariff. They tax us, we tax them. And they tax us, almost in all cases, they're taxing us, and we haven't been taxing them. And we have all the cards. And until I came along, don't forget, and Howard was going over the numbers with me last night, we took in $600 billion and more in taxes and tariffs from China. No other president took in 10 cents, not 10 cents, not 10 cents. And no, we're going to be doing things. We're going to be treating people very fairly. But the word reciprocal is important, because if somebody charges us, India, we don't have to talk about own. If India charges us 100%, do we charge them nothing for the same? They send in a bicycle and we send them a bicycle. They charge us 100 and 200. India charges a lot. Brazil charges a lot. If they want to charge us, that's fine, but we're going to charge them the same thing.
In Canada, Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc, a member of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's inner circle, was named Finance Minister on Monday. Former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland quit the same day after clashing with Trudeau on issues including how to handle possible U.S. tariffs, dealing an unexpected blow to an already unpopular government. In a stinging resignation letter, Freeland dismissed Trudeau's push for increased spending as a political gimmick that could hurt Ottawa's ability to deal with the 25% import tariffs that U.S. President-elect Trump says he will impose. The resignation by Freeland, who also served as Deputy Prime Minister, is one of the biggest crises Trudeau has faced since taking power in November 2015. It also leaves him without a key ally when he's on track to lose the next election to the official opposition Conservatives. But LeBlanc says he has a lot of confidence in the government of Trudeau.
Chrystia Freeland is somebody that I have worked with for well over a decade. She's somebody that I admire as a colleague, that I appreciate as a friend. She has accomplished a great deal for our government as Foreign Affairs Minister, as International Trade Minister, as Intergovernmental Affairs Minister, and most recently as Finance Minister. She has a proud record of delivering for Canadians programs as important as a national child care program, the Canadian dental benefit. So I'm proud of her record as Minister of Finance. She's contributed to the public policy life of our country in an exemplary way. And I look forward now to assuming the responsibility of being Minister of Finance, talking to my colleagues as we prepare for what will be a 2025 budget. And I have a lot of confidence in the decisions our government, our cabinet has made, but will obviously do my job as Minister of Finance over the coming months. Obviously, the threat of tariffs coming from an incoming administration and what we need to do to protect the Canadian economy. It's an honor for me tonight to become Canada's Finance Minister and to remain as the Minister of Intergovernmental Affairs. I look forward to working with Canada's premiers as I have for the last number of years on some important challenges facing the country.
Japanese investment giant SoftBank would invest $100 billion in the U.S. over the next 4 years in what would be a boost to the U.S. economy. The pledge, made at a flag-bedecked event at Trump's Mar-a-Lago Club in Florida, would create 100,000 jobs focused on artificial intelligence and related infrastructure, with the money to be deployed before the end of Trump's term. President-elect Trump, with SoftBank Group CEO Masayoshi Son at his side, announced on Monday that the said investment was evidence of, quote, monumental confidence in America's future.
And he's doing this because he feels very optimistic about our country since the election. And many other people are also coming in with tremendous amounts of money. This historic investment is a monumental demonstration of confidence in America's future, and it will help ensure that artificial intelligence, emerging technologies, and other industries of tomorrow are built, created, and grown right here in the USA. One of the beautiful things about Masa is he's very much involved with emerging technology, probably knows it maybe better than almost anybody.
Thank you so much. I'm very, very excited. I would really like to celebrate the great victory of President Trump. And my confidence level to the economy of the United States has tremendously increased with his victory. So because of that, I'm now excited to commit this $100 billion and 100,000 jobs into the United States. This is double of last time, as President Trump said. Because I say, oh, President Trump is a double-down president. I'm going to have to double down, you know, $100 billion and 100,000 jobs. This is, you know, my confidence level, because that has doubled down.
Meanwhile, TikTok CEO Shou Chew met with President-elect Trump at his Mar-a-Lago residence as well, just weeks before the popular video app is expected to be banned in the U.S. over national security concerns. Sources tell Bloomberg the private meeting came just hours after Trump suggested he'd somehow try to reverse the ban to save TikTok, which he used to reach young voters on the campaign trail. Trump had previously tried to ban TikTok in 2020 during his first term as president, but has since switched his stance on the app.
We'll take a look at TikTok. You know, I have a warm spot in my heart for TikTok because I won youth by 34 points. And there are those that say that TikTok had something to do with that. Now, Joe Rogan did, and some of the other people that were recommended by my son Barron, he knew names. I said, who is that? Tell me, who's that? Dad, you gotta be kidding. I can't believe you don't know. And I did those interviews, and it was actually sort of cute. Do you want to know the truth? But we did them, and that had an impact. But TikTok had an impact, and so we're taking a look at it. But, you know, we won youth. Republicans are always 30 points down in youth. I don't know why, but we ended up finishing. There was one poll that showed us down about 30. We were 35 or 36 points up with young people. So I have a little bit of a warm spot in my heart, I'll be honest.
TikTok and its Chinese parent company ByteDance asked the U.S. Supreme Court to block a government ban set to take effect next month. They also asked the court to put the law on hold by January 6 as the justices consider whether to hear a company appeal. The measure would ban TikTok in the U.S. if ByteDance does not sell it. China's economy remained robust in November. Speaking at a press conference in Beijing, China's National Bureau of Statistics reported steady recoveries in industrial and services sectors, expanding consumption and investment, improving market conditions, and continued quality upgrades in economic performance. However, retail sales, a gauge of consumption, grew just 3.3% last month, much slower than the 4.8% rise seen in October. Analysts had predicted a 4.6% expansion. Property investment in China fell 10.4% in the first 11 months of 2024 from a year earlier, after dropping 10.3% in January to October. The mixed set of data underlines the challenges facing Chinese leaders heading into 2025, when trade relations with the United States could worsen at a time when domestic consumption also remains weak.
In general, the overall recovery trend of market sales since the fourth quarter has continued, and the policy-driven effect continues to show. Of course, we must also see that the endogenous driving force of consumption growth needs to be further strengthened. In the next stage, we must actively stabilize employment and increase income, enhance residents' consumption capacity, improve consumption policies, enhance residents' consumption tendencies, vigorously improve the quality of supply, better release consumption potential, and promote stable and healthy economic development.
A U.S. tariff exemption known as the de minimis rule has allowed for explosive growth in a Chinese industry for lingerie, or what they call erotic clothing. A factory boss estimates that about 1,400 firms and 100,000 workers currently churn out products for the lingerie industry in Guanyun, once a sprawling farming community that has now become China's lingerie capital. The provision under which foreign packages valued at $800 or less are exempted from tariffs as long as they're shipped to individuals has fueled the meteoric rise of Chinese e-commerce firms such as Shein and Temu. But U.S. Democratic lawmakers want it closed, calling it a loophole that is being exploited for criminal ends such as fentanyl trafficking. Nomura estimates that China will export about $240 billion in goods benefiting from the de minimis exemption this year, accounting for 7% of its overseas sales and contributing 1.3% of gross domestic product. If the trade rule is removed, Nomura forecasts China's export growth to reduce by 1.3 percentage points and GDP growth by 0.2 points. The figures would worsen significantly if Europe and Southeast Asia were to follow suit with similar moves. Similar restrictions on Chinese imports are being considered by the European Union and other countries.
我是雷从瑞，连云港五月美。
Main market is still in North America. The U.S. region is still a pretty important segment for us. We hope that we can have a stable space for development in the United States. Of course, if the policy is implemented, we will definitely be affected. We did make some preparations because we are certain that when Trump becomes president, he will implement an increase in tariffs, as well as remove the entry Type 86 policy known as the de minimis exemption. Either or, there will be certain risks for us. We are still pretty worried about that situation, but we're prepared for the fact that they will indeed do it. If the tariff is increased now, our costs will increase and our sales volume will drop. And so our response could be, 1, to use other measures to conduct business in the U.S., not only through e-commerce in the U.S., but maybe with local U.S. business owners as well, or other ways. At the same time, we will look at developing in other regions.
So there is no way, I think, that many people in many Western countries, United States, Europe, many other countries like that, developed countries, would be able to do the same job or part of this job with that kind of income. So I don't think it's going to be built over there. You know, these are not the ones that, for example, like battery or high-tech stuff that, for example, you say you have to bring back your production here, your supply chain here. These are the things that are either going to be there to buy or they're not going to be there. So if they're not there, then the consumers, some buyers who want it, they're going to demand it and they're ready to pay a little bit higher prices.
When we come back, a look at business and economy news from around the country. Stay on BNC and follow the money.
At BNC, 12 noon doesn't mean break. But
good afternoon, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Today on Newsfeed at noon, staunch Duterte ally Salvador Panelo believes Vice President Sara Duterte will be impeached. United Nations hailing the ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon's Hezbollah. Australia officially banning children under 16 from social media. And those are the news this hour. Keep it here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Welcome back to Follow the Money. Money sent home by overseas Filipinos rose in October. Cash remittances reached nearly $3.1 billion, up 2.7% year on year. From January to October, cash remittances rose 3% to $28.3 billion. The U.S. posted the highest share, followed by Saudi Arabia, Singapore, and the UAE. Negotiations between Volkswagen workers and management continue over cost-cutting measures that excludes plant closures. The council chief said they must find a compromise that will be good for both workers and company as the fifth round of talks was due to begin. More than 100,000 workers at 9 plants across the country joined the strikes. They're protesting management's stance that wages must be cut and capacity downsized for the brand to stay competitive. Malaysian auto firm Proton launched its first electric vehicle on Monday. It's the latest entry into the local market as the country seeks to boost EV and hybrid EV use and gain a foothold in the global supply chain. Proton is majority owned by Malaysian conglomerate DRB Highcom, with the remaining 49.9% stake held by Chinese automaker Zhejiang Geely Holding Group. Proton E-Mas 7's introduction in Malaysia follows that of BYD, Tesla, and Stellantis in partnership with Leap Motor. During a speech at the launch event, Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim highlighted that reducing fossil fuel dependency and promoting green and renewable energy could help grow Malaysia's economy and benefit more people.
Our projections indicate this could yield investment opportunities as high as 1.3 trillion ringgit by 2050, an additional contribution of 220 billion ringgit to the Malaysian GDP and generate, inshallah, over 300,000 job opportunities.
And that is it for today's edition of Follow the Money. I'm Raine Musñgi. Thank you so much for watching. Keep it here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News channel, always on top.